elite player. I've been broke, it's a joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk, we gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my...
Hello, and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this late July 27th, 7/27/17. Lots of sevens going on. Somebody play that number today. Sevens all around on this little bit of a rainy-ish, I don't know. I mean, what is going on really with this summer? We know spring was not great. Summer kind of started to heat up there, but has it really been that great of a summer? I'm not sure that we've had such a good summer yet. I mean, it doesn't really feel like it all that much. And now, all of a sudden, it's almost August. Ay, what's going on there? But we are in the studio, Comcast Cable Channel 23, live until 7 o'clock. If you'd like to complain about the weather like I apparently just did, you can give me a call. 203-792-4101 is the number. I'll be here for 30 minutes. Again, flying somewhat solo as we just cannot get the crew, the band all together. Just try as we may, it's just not happening. So Mr. Bob Rudd Jr., my right-hand man, is directing the show once again, doing a fine job, getting better as he goes week to week, although we'd like him getting better out here with me and our old director, Mr. Toohey, Mike Toohey, joining us, but these things happen, so Bob is in there doing his duty and doing a good job. His show, Spotlight on, Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12, but he is running a special, the Danbury Westerner Celebrity Breakfast featuring Doc Good. Oh, wait a second. The doctor was not in this year. Late call, no show. Doc Gooden was out, and it was Tim Tuffle with the pinch hit. But they do have an hour-long special going on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, running for, I believe, the next 4 weeks. So if you're looking to see what took place down at the Amber Room this year at the Danbury Westerners annual Celebrity Breakfast, he has got it covered for you. I wonder who did the camera work on that. Maybe that was me who did the camera work on that. I'd like to tune in to see how my work came out, as a matter of fact. I'll have to check that out, see if it was any good. So that's Bob's show. Mike's show, Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. I believe he still has a show. Who knows what's going on with Mike and his crazy schedule these days, if he's doing anything new, if he's re-airing old shows. I know when I spoke to him recently, he was chomping at the bit to get back in here and get some things off his chest on his show, but he just can't do it. Unlike me, who gets to come in here and have 30 minutes to spew whatever it is I want to spew lately, as I'm back in the saddle here with the schedule on board. All right, this weekend, I do want to mention Bob's favorite team there, the Danbury Westerners, have a first responder night on Saturday night. You can head on down to Rogers Park, just like we see in this nice photo. Check out the field, check out the game, and see how the Westerners do to finish off the season, which has spiraled out of control. They're in the midst of a 4-13 stretch, which has knocked them out of playoff contention. Of course, if it was the old setup, they still would be fighting for that final playoff spot, but instead this year, 3 teams in a round-robin playoff format, and the Westerners are going to be in the outside looking in at a record of 17-22 with only, I believe, 4 games left. But first responders night, they're playing the first place team, Ocean State. Saturday, I think that's a doubleheader. 4:30 is the first game. We'll see what time they get that second game. They only play 7 innings, I believe, in the doubleheaders. So we'll see how that goes. But it is first responder night, so head on down there and see. Hopefully no rain. Talk of some big rain this weekend, so that would be a bummer if that happened. But it is Plymouth is 23-17. Mystic 24-16. Ocean State at 27-10. So they are not actually the first place team according to my calculations, but they are the third place team, and they are in the playoffs right now. So the Westerners are in fourth place at 17-22 in the Southern Division. In the Northern Division, it's the new team on the block, Upper Valley at 27-13, followed by Valley at 22-17, and Keene, third place team at 18-19. So if the Westerners were in the North, they'd be right there, maybe fighting off. Disparity in games played. I guess rain has been wreaking havoc with everybody, however. Tuesday night is their last night, and that, I believe, is a home game as well. Tuesday night, August 1st, their final home game. So you got a few more chances to check out the Westerners, and one chance in particular to honor the first responders on Saturday. Hopefully, pray for some good weather for them, and maybe they can get a few wins just so they can feel good about the rest of their season here. You know, they had the great start, then they stumbled, then they had another hot stretch, and then they stumbled, and then the stumble continued, and they have stumbled all the way out of playoff contention. So, not good for the Westerners, but, they gave good effort, and I'm sure they had good support. Anybody want to give a call? I mean, of course, I will mention WXCI is still airing those games. I've heard plenty of the games this year on the radio, at least parts of the games if I'm driving or something. So you can tune in there, westerners.com or necbl.com. You can find the links there for the online broadcast as well. All right, speaking of baseball, let's move on to another team that's kind of struggling, not doing so good. 2-4 road trip, 4-6 in their last 10. They had the 4-4 homestand coming out of the All-Star break. They lost 3 out of 4 before the All-Star break. We are talking about the Boston Red Sox, who percentage points ahead of the New York Yankees for first place, 56-47. The Yankees 53-46. But the Red Sox, I mean, just come on. They should, I keep harping on the fact they should have been 6 games up at the break. Instead, it was only 4.5. Then they blew that game and won 16 against the Yankees. They should have taken 3 out of 4 in that series and really given themselves some breathing room. Instead, they allowed things to tighten up. And now, as they struggle, losing 4 straight before getting the final game to salvage this road trip. I mean, they won game 1 in Anaheim with Sale pitching. Then they proceeded to lose the next 4 games, and then Sale bails them out in the final game of the road trip in Seattle. 1 out of 4, as I told Strange Man, who texted me about that great game win in the afternoon Wednesday. Big deal. They win 1 game to start the trip, 1 game to end the trip. That's not going to get it done if you want to hold on to first place and maintain your lead in the division. I mean, it's just not going to get it done, because now the Yankees, who, speaking of disparity in games played, at 53-46, they're playing tonight. The Red Sox are off. The Yankees start a 4-game series with Tampa Bay, who's 53-49. Surprising team, contending for a wild card, hanging around in the division as well. The Yankees, unbelievable. The Yankees win the series this weekend, and that was their first series win in Seattle in about 6 weeks. Yet somehow they still managed to have fewer losses than the Red Sox. How is that even possible? They went 6 weeks without winning a series. So that tells you just how mediocre. I mean, the Red Sox were down at the start of that stretch when the Yankees started struggling, 4 games or so. So they did overcome that. They built a 4.5 game lead, should have been 6. And yet still, through it all, they end up now only percentage points ahead of the Yankees and 1 game behind in the loss column. It's infuriating. They did call up the latest young prospect, Rafael Devers. The Red Sox did, and he delivered. His first major league hit was a home run in that win on Wednesday against Seattle. So that was pretty exciting news for the Red Sox. He became the youngest player for the Boston Red Sox to hit a home run since Tony Cagliera of Red Sox fame. And of course, we know what happened with Tony C, one of the most heartbreaking stories in all of sports, really. But Devers got it done in his second game. I think it was his second start. Maybe he pinch hit in that first game, but I think it was his second game. He got the start and he hit the home run. He got 2 hits in that game. So we'll see what happens with this kid. They traded for Eduardo Nunez, third baseman from the Giants. I don't know, the Pablo Sandoval third baseman trade from the Giants didn't work out so good, but they're going to go down that road again. Nunez batting over 300. We'll see if he bounces because he's a third baseman as well, and Devers is a third baseman. Not sure how that's going to work out. They need more run support, more power in the lineup because they are not hitting for home runs when everybody else in the league is hitting for home runs at crazy rates. I thought maybe they were going to trade for old Red Sox Adrian Beltre, who had his own little incident the other night, getting ejected from the game when he moved the on-deck circle, literally picked it up and moved it after being told to move himself, and he did not, and he was ejected from a game that they were giving up, I believe, 22 runs in, the Rangers were. But instead they trade for Nunez. I don't know, interesting. Red Sox have Kansas City coming in tomorrow night. They're off today. They were off Monday. Interesting little, break in the action for them with this road trip coming home. They get the day off. And the Royals have won 8 straight to move well above 500, 53-47, sitting 2 games behind Cleveland, who has also won 7 in a row at 55-45. So Kansas City is suddenly red hot, winning 8 straight. The Red Sox struggling, heading home. We'll see David Price, who's dealing with the fallout from, the Boston media is just really unbelievable. They want this guy run out of town so bad. I mean, maybe they should try to make him more comfortable instead of making him more uncomfortable by continuing to drag on this story that's over a month old. He cursed out the media, and they, are just never going to let him live that down. Then he had the incident on the plane traveling where he was really foolish and taking on Dennis Eckersley, who he said, he basically was calling out the media saying, you guys have no idea what it's like to pitch in the big leagues. Hello, Dennis Eckersley had over a 20-year career in the big leagues where he dealt with all sorts of things, being traded, being a starter, being a reliever, going through personal issues, an alcoholic, having marital problems. He faced every single scenario possible, giving up one of the biggest home runs in the history of the World Series. I mean, come on. And what is David Price saying when going after Eckersley? So I get it. David Price has not done himself any favors, but the media is just not going to let it go. And they're just going to continue to pile on him saying he can't handle Boston. He can't handle the Boston media. He's a small-town kid from Tennessee, I believe. Maybe you try to make it more comfortable for him instead of making it worse. But he pitches the series opener against Kansas City, and they're going to need him to pitch well. He did not pitch well, even though he was given the lead in the Anaheim series after Sale got the lead early in the first game of that series, and you look like maybe they're going to get on the road and play well. Price blew it. That led to them losing 4 straight. We'll see if he can get it turned around against Kansas City, who, as I mentioned, red hot. I don't know. Yankees, we mentioned, they got the mini sweep. Following that first series win in Seattle, they come home and take 2 against Cincinnati. The Big Red Machine laying down at 41-60, not doing very good there. What's going on in Cincinnati? So the Yankees now start the 4-game series against Tampa Bay. And it's going good when you hit into a triple play and you proceed to score the go-ahead and turns out to be winning run in the proceedings of being taken out in a triple play. I don't know how that happened, as Todd Frazier welcomes himself the trade they made for him to New York by doing that. And then we see Brett Gardner, who's on this torrid home run hitting pace, which leads you to the discussion of juiced bats, juiced balls, what's going on in the big leagues when Gardner is hitting home runs, 15 of them this year. I don't know, crazy. And Judge broke out from his little mini slump. He did hit 2 over the weekend in Seattle. So maybe his post-All-Star break home run derby slump is over. We'll keep track of him and what he's got going on. We mentioned Cleveland winning 7 in a row, Kansas City winning 8 in a row, the Twins falling behind now, losing 4 in a row. They were in first place for a while, and they're now below 500, and Cleveland and Kansas City looking to run away from it. Running away from it, of course, is the Astros way out in front, 67 and 34. Seattle, 51 and 52, trying to keep themselves in contention for a wild card, as you have the Yankees in the wild card spot at 53 and 46, Kansas City 53 and 47. Seattle is the next closest behind Tampa Bay at 53 and 49. So we'll keep our eye on the wild card as well in the American League. It's important with 2 teams getting in. Red Sox, they could continue to struggle, but they could still fight for a wild card. But they want first place. They want the AL East. They just got to get their act together. I don't know what the problem is. They've gone to sleep. It started with that Tampa Bay series right before the All-Star break, and it's continued after the All-Star break, 4-4 homestand, 2-4 road trip. They need to come home and get a big, good things happening on this homestand. I mean, they have good pitching, and they should be able to get it done, but run scoring has been a problem. In the National League, the Mets continue to just kind of plug away, 47 and 52, 6-4 in their last 10. Playing mediocre, playing okay, slightly above average baseball, but they are so far down the line right now that it's just not going to matter unless they go on a really hot stretch, which they're not doing. Nationals at 61 and 39, 13 and a half up on the Braves and Mets, and they today hit 4 consecutive home runs and then a 5th home run in 1 inning this afternoon, which I think was a record. So the Nationals, scoring runs, getting pitching, although Strasburg is injured and out, but they say it's just a precautionary thing, nothing long term, but he'll miss probably a week and a half, 2 weeks or something. But 61 and 39 Nationals. And then the Cubs have proceeded to move out in front of the Brew Crew. Coming out of the All-Star break, polar opposites. The Cubbies go 8 and 2, and the Brewers go 2 and 8. So not good, as the Met Maniac arrives, fresh off the roads, dealing with traffic and all that good stuff out there. Is it raining, Mike? Not rain. So a little drizzle this afternoon, but the big rains tonight maybe not going to happen. So the Cubbies are in first place at 53 and 47, and the Brewers right behind them at 54 and 50. And a couple of things I will mention. Cardinals, we might not, haven't really mentioned St. Louis, last year really at all, and this year, but 50 and 51, maybe we have not heard the last of St. Louis, always a dangerous team. So they are kind of hanging around as well. Cubs, we know, hot right now, but overall this season we're not hot. So if they stumble again, St. Louis might be right behind them, and Brewers and the Pirates as well at 50 and 52. So I'm going to keep my eye on those other 2 teams in the Central, as it's a little deep there with some teams playing at or around 500. Dodgers, I don't know what you can say about the Dodgers at 40 games above 500, and we're not even in August. I mean, somebody needs to look this up. Is that even mathematically possible? Has it ever been done before? 71 and 31, so basically through 100 games, they go 40 over 500, which is just unheard of. I'm not sure what they'll end up to end the season, but that is super impressive if you ask me. The 2 other teams in the West, Arizona, 58 and 43, Rockies 58 and 45. So they are still the 2 wild card teams. Is Mike all settled in? Is he mic'd up?
Yeah.
Can we hear him, Bob? He's good. He's good to go. So Mike is in the show now. How's it going there, Mike? Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks.
I know. Last week with the heat and the traffic, I don't know what was going on with the traffic the last week or so. It was just,
it's been brutal.
The patterns have just been hard to figure and hard to kind of figure out why at times. Leaving New Haven today, I got to leave early. It was raining and it was 2:30. I'm like, oh, great. And traffic is worse at 2:30, than it is at 5 o'clock. So
Absolutely.
It's hard to figure what's up with traffic. But Mike is here. We're happy to see him. You've been paying attention to baseball. I know you keep your eye on your Mets, but they're kind of falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
But anything going on in baseball that you got your eye on right now?
Well, actually, I was listening to something coming in. The Mets supposedly traded Lucas Duda.
The Mets traded Lucas Duda
to
today.
the Tampa Bay Devil Rays for
really?
Yeah, a relief pitcher.
Interesting. So the Rays do not think they're out of this, and they're looking to get a little more offense, perhaps, and they bring in Lucas Duda. What do you think about that trade?
Well, I knew it was a trade that they're going to start trading off pieces because they want to bring up Dominic Smith, the first baseman in the minor leagues. They want to give him a couple of months to see what he's got. And I expect that guys like Cabrera, probably Addison Reed, guys like that will probably be gone too.
Well, they should be bringing some guys up. I just worry a little bit too much. Like a guy like Duda, you know, he's kind of a core player there. I worry when these teams have one bad year. I mean, they've won the World Series, made the playoffs. They were supposed to be a contender this year. They had injuries, things fell apart, whatever. They could get healthy and get things right back on track next year. So I just worry about these teams and what the mentality is for. Happens all the time in baseball. You have one bad year, you have to be a seller. Who says you have to be a seller?
Exactly.
Like, why is that something that has to be done?
Right.
Why can't you just stand pat and say, well, we feel like we still have a good team. We're not going to trade off guys that we like going forward, you know, just because other teams are trying to make playoff runs and they're coming to us being buyers.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't know. I just worry about them doing that. I would be keep my eye on who else they get rid of. That's interesting because I did talk about that last week and was wondering if they were going to pull that, you know, start doing that sort of thing. Duda is a kind of a player that, you know, Met fans like, right?
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's interesting to see. We'll see if they trade any of those pitchers they got. I'm sure, you know, plenty of teams out there would like to get their hands on them, but that's risky business if you ask me. You know, you could just, you know, say cash in this season and come right back, you know?
Yeah, Bob also chimed in about we shouldn't be trading it with the pitchers, which I do agree with him. We've got to see what these guys can do. This year was just crazy. You need to, yeah.
I did talk to one of my Met friends last week, and he said if they did trade a pitcher, he kind of feels like maybe the Matt Harvey situation has run its course there, and if they traded anybody, he would be okay with that. What do you think about that?
See, that's a tough one because you're not going to get full value for him. That's the only thing. He's coming off a down season the year before because of injuries. And now this year, he's also been injured again, so what are you going to get for him, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't know what his value really is at this point, which is crazy to think of. You know, Harvey was, you know, supposed to be this top play guy.
And not only that, but who's going to take the contract as well, so.
So interesting stuff. All right, well, McFadden shows up and he brings us breaking news. Lucas Duda traded. I did not see that today, so he's got information for us. It's a good thing you showed, Mike. We're happy you're here. All right, baseball talk is coming to an end. I'm sure we're inside 10 minutes probably, or getting close to 5 minutes. I want to talk about USA winning the Gold Cup last night in dramatic fashion against the Reggae Boys of Jamaica, 2-1. Good game. Out in California last night, they got a goal. Altidore has really been playing spectacular right now, and he came up with the big free kick shot. They put it in the back corner of the net, and that gave them the 1-0 lead, and you thought it was probably going to be, you know, cruising to victory. But early in the second half on a corner kick, Jamaica came up with a great equalizer, and they made it 1-1, and the game was really back and forth of teams banging the crossbar, lots of action, lots of opportunities for both teams in the second half of this game, with the game tied 1-1 until the 88th minute when Jordan Morris, who made the mistake on the corner kick, he didn't mark his man properly. He got redemption and he unloaded a howitzer shot inside the box off a rebound for the game winner 2-1 in the 88th minute, and Team USA wins the Gold Cup after they had defeated Costa Rica in the semifinal 2-0, with Dempsey, who we see there coming in as a late substitution, making a great assist to Altidore and then delivering the tying all-time goal scorer with Landon Donovan, I believe it's 57th for Team USA, on a free kick, which is a beauty as well. And there we saw the beauty on a free kick as well. Unbelievable. Jamaica stunning Mexico late in the semifinal, 1-0 on a free kick. It was just a chip shot. The guy just put it with ease over the line and into the back corner of the net, and Mexico was stunned. Tremendous. So Jamaica had, 2 years in a row runs to the finals. Last year against Mexico, they beat USA in the semi. This year they lose in the final to USA, but Jamaica's really played well. But USA 9-0-5 now under Bruce Arena since he took over. Impressive run. Maybe the difference is he has a healthy Altidore, who we know can be a difference maker, and he really has been a difference maker, but he has always had injury problems. But he's healthy right now, and they come up with the goods. So, Team USA really just needed to feel good about themselves, and they are feeling good now, and qualifying is back underway in September. All right, we'll probably not have much time left, so I'm not going to go into the MLS standings. I will talk about Jordan Spieth winning the British Open at the age of 23. Now he has 3 of the majors, and the PGA is only a week and a half away. He could get the whole Grand Slam if he comes up with the goods. But that was unbelievable. He blew a 3-shot lead. He went behind Matt Kuchar, and then he goes after a 22-minute hole where his ball was lost somewhere, and he had to come up with something. He goes birdie, eagle, birdie, birdie to go back in front, sinking a 50-foot eagle putt in the process, and he wins the third major at the 146 Open Championship. They've been playing that since 1860, Mike. That is crazy. One of the oldest standing big sporting events that has been going for consecutive years, or maybe they missed 1 or 2 here and there, but 1860, that is quite the tradition, and he does it. So the American Jordan Spieth back, and it looked like he was going to blow it, and you were going to wonder about his mental health after he had blown the Masters last year, and he wasn't going to be able to come up with it. And he won in Hartford, up at the Travelers Open in dramatic fashion, chipping out in extra holes as well. So Connecticut golf fans who went and maybe became Jordan Spieth fans were probably tuning in as well. All right, I will just say as the show winds down, cycling, Tour de France, hats off to Christopher Froome for winning his 4th in 5 years. He held off in what was the closest Tour de France ever. All charges, all comers, the Frenchman Bardot, the Colombian Uran, and my man Aru from Italy. They couldn't get it done. They put all the pressure on the world on him, but he just was not to be denied, and Chris Froome wins it 4th. All right, before we get out of here, any thoughts on Kyrie Irving wanting to blow up the Cleveland Cavaliers? Bron. I mean, when are we going to just start saying this guy is unbelievable? He runs guys out of town. He changes team. He comes back. He won't commit to Cleveland long term. All the rumors are he's going to L.A. Cleveland Cavaliers, unbelievable. Uh-oh, somebody's saying bye. Bye-bye. We're out here.
Show's over.
That's it. Show's over.